Hey everyone, Tankenstein here. In this video, I'll be reviewing the VT5. This is a currently 11.0 BR Rank 7 Squadron light tank in the Chinese Ground Forces tech tree. It is currently 540,000 Squadron RP to research, and it costs 870,000 Silver Lions once unlocked. With that said, in this video, I'll be going over everything that you need to know about this tank, including its stats, how it plays, I'll give its strengths and weaknesses, I'll give you some scores in several key areas, and then I'll give my final recommendation on if I feel that this vehicle is worth researching or even purchasing or not. With that said, if you like this kind of video, please consider subscribing to my channel, but without further ado, let's get into the review. Now to start, I'll place its stat card here on the side of the screen. Important things to note are its armament, its power to weight ratio, and its elevation angles. Now for how it plays. The VT5 is essentially a mini MBT that is classified as a light tank. While it is quicker than most MBTs, even if just by a little bit, it isn't as quick as many light tanks, though it can still easily move around the map due to its still very good 26.79 horsepower per ton power to weight ratio. This, along with its excellent armament and surprisingly good survivability, allows for the VT5 to perform many roles between what light tanks would normally play, such as scouting, flanking, base capping, and occasionally sniping, while also being able to do some MBT things, like even occasionally brawling. This might sound weird as the VT5's armor will be easily penned by most shells, but the spall liner and 5-second autoloader allow for situational brawling to be a possibility, which is something that most light tanks, if not all light tanks outside of the VT5, are incapable of doing. This aside, the VT5 has numerous ammo types for its 105mm cannon that further enhance it into one of the most versatile light tanks in all of War Thunder. These ammo types include 2 APF SDS shells, Heat FS, Proxy Fuse HE, a Tandem Charge ATGM, and a semi-armor piercing shell. This allows for the VT5 to engage with pretty much any tank in game, though admittedly its best APF SDS shell, the DTW2-105, has just shy of 500mm of armor pen, which is low for this BR. Still, this is a light tank, and thus is fairly understandable that this level of armor pen is the case. Even still, the versatility of the ammo options on this vehicle allows for you to select your method of execution for pretty much any scenario that you're in, which is both somewhat unique and invaluable. At the end of the day, however, I will say that the VT5 is typically best when fulfilling the role of the light tank, namely in scouting and flanking, in which I've had the most success, though also in base capping, sniping, and situational brawling, with those latter roles being still very doable, as is also playing support. Now with that being said, let's get into its strengths and weaknesses, and first for its strengths. It has an excellent cannon elevation of up to 22 degrees. Second, it features spall liners throughout the interior of the tank, which creates surprisingly good survivability. Third, it has a great turret traverse rate of up to 40 degrees per second depending on crew skill. For its fourth strength, it has great overall mobility with a power to weight ratio of 26.79 horsepower per ton, as well as both a 71 km/h top speed and a 33 km/h reverse speed. For its fifth strength, it has a fantastic 5-second autoloader. For its sixth strength, it has an extremely versatile armament with an effective APF SDS shell, a Tandem Charge ATGM, Proxy Fuse HE shell for destroying aircraft, a Heat FS shell, and even a semi-armor piercing shell. Beyond this, it has a top-mounted HMG. For its eighth strength, it has decently armored turret cheeks that can defeat some weaker Heat FS, some rockets, and ATGMs. This is extremely rare for a light tank. For its ninth strength, it features a laser warning system. 10th, it has Gen 3 thermals for both the gunner and commander. For its 11th strength, it has blowout panels for the turret-mounted ammo rack. Beyond this, it features overall good zoom levels on the commander and gunner's optics with up to 10.7 times and 12 times zoom respectively. And finally, there's a surprisingly large amount of empty space in the interior, which when combined with the spall liner means that a lot of APF SDS shells will simply pass through the VT5 from the side with relatively minimal damage. Now with all that said, let's get into its weaknesses. And first, it has a poor cannon depression angle of just -5 degrees. Second, while it has great ammo options, the size of the cannon, being 105mm, is a bit low for this BR, and thus oftentimes results in lower post-pen damage than what you'd expect from larger cannons. For its third weakness, while the turret cheek armor is surprisingly decent for a light tank, the rest of the VT5 is poorly armored and is easy to pen by mostly anything beyond HMGs. For its fourth weakness, it features a 3-man crew, of which negatively impacts survivability. Fifth, despite being a light tank, the VT5 is about the same size as many MBTs, which makes it easier to both spot and hit. And finally, the DTW2-105 VT105 APF SDS shell has just below 500mm of armor pen. While not truly bad, especially considering that the VT5 is a light tank, it will make some frontal shots versus MBTs a bit more difficult. Now with all that said, let's get into how I score this vehicle, and first for armament, I give it a 7.75 out of 10. While none of the projectiles are especially amazing for this BR, the overall armament of the VT5 is devastatingly powerful. It has effective enough DTW2 105 APF SDS shells with nearly 500mm of armor pen, alongside an effective proxy fuse HE shell, as well as Heat FS, another APF SDS shell, a semi-armor piercing shell, and even a very nice tandem charge GP105 ATGM. This all leads to a vehicle that has a shell for every occasion, even despite having a somewhat low cannon size of 105mm for this BR. Mixing good commander and gunner's optics, Gen 3 thermals for both the commander and gunner, great turret traverse rate of up to 40 degrees per second, a top-mounted HMG, and an excellent 5-second auto-loaded reload, and you get a very powerful overall package in terms of armament, especially considering that the VT5 is classed as a light tank. Now for mobility, I give it a 6.25 out of 10. The mobility of the VT5 is great, though not absolutely amazing. While it has a very good power to weight ratio of 26.79 horsepower per ton, it still has to be softly compared against other light tanks. It does very well, especially with its very good top speed of 71 km per hour, but it isn't as quick as things like wheeled light tanks or speed demons like the HSTVL or even the BMD4. Regardless, the VT5 is more than capable of keeping up with most MBTs and can still do pretty much everything that a normal light tank can do, including flanking, base capping, and scouting. Relative to other light tanks, the VT5's mobility is not absolutely amazing, but it still feels great and is easily able to get the job done. Now for survivability, I give it a 6 out of 10. Again, in a soft comparison with other light tanks, on top of vehicles in general around this BR, the VT5 is actually quite decent in terms of survivability. Though it is definitely light in terms of armor, the VT5 still has effective turret cheeks versus rockets, Heat FS shells, and some mediocre ATGMs. Otherwise, its armor is thinner than what is suggested on the stat card, easily being able to be penned by pretty much all full-size cannon shells and most autocannons at this BR from pretty much any angle. What makes the VT5 a bit above average in terms of survivability, however, is its secret sauce, the small liner. This makes it so that most shells, namely APF SDS, will have the tendency to pass right through the VT5 while doing somewhat minimal damage to both modules and crew. This is most notable when being shot from the side, as I have had numerous instances of surviving numerous APF SDS shells to then be able to kill whoever is shooting at me. This is further helped by having a somewhat tidy interior that has most of the ammo sitting inside the turret, hidden behind blowout panels, which has in turn resulted in me having relatively few ammo rack deaths when compared to similar BR tanks of all types. Add in a laser warning system and a decent count of 12 smoke grenades, and you have a surprisingly survivable vehicle. While it can't take hits like an MBT without being penned, the VT5 can be penned and take minimal damage, which is definitely something that most tanks cannot say. Now overall, I give it a 6.75 out of 10. The VT5 is a jack-of-all-trades type of light tank. It can pretty much do whatever you want with some reliability outside of frontlining, and even then, it'll be safer than most other light tanks. It has a powerful armament, great mobility, and surprisingly effective survivability. Because of this, it is one of the most well-rounded light tanks in War Thunder, and almost plays like a lightly armored MBT over anything else. Now with that said, do I recommend the purchase or unlocking of the VT5? As with pretty much all Squadron vehicles, I do not recommend purchasing this one with Golden Eagles, simply because it does not give the same benefits as premium vehicles, and thus will not be much help when grinding through a tech tree. Otherwise, the VT5 is easily one of the best Squadron vehicles currently in War Thunder, and I 100% recommend it to research and unlock via Squadron RP with priority. Specifically, I mean that the VT5 is pretty much good enough where I would research it before almost every other Squadron vehicle currently in game, outside of maybe the BMP-2M, Su-33, Bishma TWMP, and arguably the A4E early. The VT5 at current is one of the best overall light vehicles in War Thunder, and can play pretty much any way that you want it to, which is rare for light tanks to pull off. Because of this, I give the VT5 my full recommendation to put it as a high priority to research, and also give it my Tankenstein seal of approval. The VT5 is easily among the most capable light tanks, and should definitely be a consideration for anyone looking to build a high BR ground lineup for China, or simply for those that just want a really good vehicle. Now with that being said, thank you all so much for watching. If you don't mind, please consider liking this video and subscribing to my channel, as they both help me tremendously. Additionally, let me know what you think of the VT5 and of this review in the comments below. Either way, thanks so much, and I'll see you all on the other side. Take care, everyone.